Well, greetings, blade lovers, and welcome back. We have a new and exciting addition to the collection to talk about today. From Kubey Knives and prolific maker Max Tkachuk, a Ukrainian knife maker, I believe. And he named this the Potvora, I believe is the correct pronunciation. It translates, he tells me, and I asked him ahead of time, in Ukrainian to beast or monster. And it's a very interesting knife, as you can see. It's got some features that really stand out. I don't know what we're going to call this one, because it interestingly has a double recurve. That's right. A recurve up, call it up front, well, near the pivot, and a recurve out near the point that creates that almost hawksbill point to it. This interesting sweep of a false edge, almost, thick blade, opening hole, and a beautiful titanium handle, very simply made, contoured and rounded, with a titanium clip. Now he tells me he was trying to get the maximum cutting effect out of a blade in a folding knife that he could, and he was experimenting with exactly how to do that, and this was the result. So didn't get too much more than that. I guess when you're a designer, you know, you start working on something and you see what comes out. In this case, may not be your perfect skinning blade. It may not be your perfect EDC blade. But judging by the edge, I can guarantee you that this M390 Blade will cut, as Doug Markita says, right? Without the accent. As you pull this blade this way, the pressure increases out to that bulge or initial point, almost a tanto point, but you know, you really can't call it a tanto. You know, what can you call it other than a double recurve drop point, right? It does place the point on center. We do have a lanyard hole. And there's the Kubey traditional pivot. Let's take a look at the action on this guy. It's pretty smooth, just kind of breaking in. Snaps out easily. And you can shake it closed with a single, just like that. The opening hole here, I was able to thumb it out. Let's see. Well, maybe not. Oh, that's right. It was a little easier this way because I'm not putting any pressure on the lock bar, so we can middle finger flick it. Couldn't recall which was easier to do. There we go. So there, it can be middle finger flicked with a little bit of practice. As I say, for an interesting blade, it has a fairly plain handle. I'm going to show you a comparison in a moment to another design by Max. But why don't we get into some specs of this interesting beast of a knife, or Potvora. And let's start with the overall length. And we're going to need to back out just a little bit. So it is certainly not a small knife. It's coming in at 8 3/4. We have a blade length of 3, and we're going to call it 7/8. Have a cutting edge because of the finger choil of 3.5. And let's see what we got for thicknesses. Start with the handle. So 0.57, pretty much in the middle at the thickest point. And then on the blade, 3.9, I guess yep, depending upon how you go, we're going to call that a 4mm blade. And finally, what does it weigh, this beast? We shall find out when the scale is ready. So I'm seeing 4.778. We're going to call that 4.78. Not that heavy for a full-size knife. And here is another by Max Tkachuk. This is the Drake, Kubey Drake. They look like twins when they're closed. Same hole opening, slightly different. Entirely different blades, as you can see. And the materials are different. OS 10 for the Drake and M390, as I said earlier, for the Beast. Don't know whether to call it the Beast or the Potvora. When I bought it from White Mountain, it was labeled as Potvora, not Beast. But when you see Max putting this out on his Instagram channel, Instagram page, it is called the Beast. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Beast, since most of us aren't well versed in Ukrainian, except my Ukrainian viewers, and I hope you're out there. You can see the opening hole is a little larger on the Drake than on the Beast. Handle is pretty much identical, except that this is G10 on steel. And both have titanium clips. And that's kind of what you'd call a reverse Tonto, I guess, or a kind of a Warncliffe variant. They both have the finger choil. It's a little more pronounced on the Drake and maybe a little more usable. You know, I can get my finger in there. So we've got jimping. Pretty effective. We've got a half backspacer, 2 screws plus the pivot. That's it. So he kept the lines really clean, and pretty much the same clip as on the Drake. So handle wise, it's almost a Drake clone, but then Max decided to go a little wild with the design, you know. And I think, you know, that swedge up there makes it really kind of come to life overall. The thing I'm noticing is, and you can see it too, there's kind of a point there in the grind, the secondary bevel, that stands out. I'm seeing this knife as having a rounded belly, pronounced belly up there. What I might do is really just touch that a little bit with maybe even a ceramic stone to take that point off of there. I think it'll allow the blade to look a little cleaner, but it may decrease its ability to bite slightly less. And I noticed this also on the Helix from Concept, a Mickelson design. That had a similar transition, except it was much more of a Tonto. So I'll give you some action shots here. And then let's do a comparison with some of the standard fare for size. Here is the Benchmade Freak. And getting close to the same size, almost identical overall length. Although it seems bigger. And here we have it next to the Griptilian. It's much bigger than the Griptilian. And finally, the Rat 1. And Rat 1, let's see. I'd say it's same size. Pretty much same size. So another cruise around. And this might be something you like. It might be something you take one look at it and say, no way. So I find it interesting. Going for about 260 on White Mountain knives. Not sure if there are more, because this one's been out there a while. I decided to finally snag it and see what it was. Let me know what you think. The Kubey Potvora, or Beast, designed by Max Tkachuk. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. Coming up on 2,000 subscribers, we're going to have a GAW, so stay tuned. Be well. This Old Sword, signing out.